Hello! Today we are going to discuss relative clauses, and our plan is as follows. First, we are going to speak about defining and non-defining relative clauses. Then we are going to speak about relative pronouns and relative adverbs. And we are going to speak about clauses of purpose and clauses of reason and result. To speak about clauses, we need to understand what actually is a clause. To answer this question, we need to look at the structure of an English sentence. Let's look at this sentence. Arthur Conan Doyle is the author who wrote Sherlock Holmes. In this sentence, we have two clauses, the main clause and the relative clause. Arthur Conan Doyle is the author. This is the main clause of a sentence. And who wrote Sherlock Holmes? This is the relative clause of a sentence. So, two clauses in a sentence can be connected by various words. For example, they can be connected by relative pronouns or relative adverbs. Let's look at some relative pronouns. First of all, these are pronouns who, whom, and that. And these relative pronouns are used to speak about people. For example, the girl who lives next door is a famous blogger. Next two pronouns are which and that, and we use them to speak about things. For example, the dress which you bought is great. The next one is whose, and we use it to speak about some possession. For example, this is Mark, whose sister is a famous blogger. So, Mark has a sister and she is a blogger. Here we speak about relationship between Mark and his sister. And in some cases, we can omit who, which, and that. For example, the woman who you met is my aunt. We can omit who and say the woman you met is my aunt. And in this case, the woman who lives next door is my aunt. We cannot omit who. Why? Let's look at the structure of the sentence. In the first sentence, we have you as a subject of a sentence, subject, подлежащее. We have met as a predicate сказуемое, and we have who as an object of a sentence. То есть who является в данном случае дополнением. And now let's look at the second sentence. Lives, here a predicate, and who is a subject of a sentence. То есть в данном случае who является подлежащим в предложении, а имя подлежащее это главная часть предложения, и, соответственно, мы не можем от нее никак избавиться. So, in the sentences where who, which, and that are objects of a sentence, we can omit them. For example, the woman you met is my aunt. No relative pronoun in this sentence. And now let's speak about relative adverbs. Relative adverbs when and that are used to speak about time. For example, that was the day when we met. Or we can say that was the day that we met. Next is where, and we use it to speak about place. The city where I was born is very old. Why? We use it to speak about reason. My birthday is the reason why I'm happy. Now, which types of relative clauses do we have in English language? It is a defining relative clause and a non-defining relative clause. What are they? A defining relative clause contains a necessary information and it is introduced by the words who, whom, whose, which, and that. For example, the city which I visited yesterday was wonderful. So the information which I visited yesterday is important because if we don't have it, we won't understand which city we are speaking about. In a non-defining relative clause, we include non-essential information. For example, London, which I visited yesterday, is wonderful. If we omit which I visited yesterday and say London is wonderful, the sentence stays the same. We understand which city we are speaking about. By the way, non-defining relative clauses are introduced by the words who, whom, whose, and which, but not that. One more difference is that in a non-defining relative clause we use commas, запятые. Обратите внимание. London, a comma, which I visited yesterday, a comma, is wonderful. It means that this information is not important. And now we also have some functional clauses, so the clauses which answer some questions such as why, what for, and so on. First of all, these are clauses of purpose, clauses of negative purpose, clauses of reason, and clauses of result. Let's start with clauses of purpose. Like, what for have we done something? They may be presented by the words to, in order to, and so as to. Let's look at the example. First variant, he is taking a photo to post it on Instagram. Variant number 2, he is taking a photo in order to post on Instagram. And variant number 3, he is taking a photo so as to post it on Instagram. Next structure is so that plus can or will. The same sentence, but with this structure will look like this. He is taking a photo so that he will post it on Instagram. We also can present a clause of purpose with the phrase with a view to or with the aim of plus a gerund. For example, he is taking a photo with a view to posting it on Instagram, or he is taking a photo with the aim of posting it on Instagram. Next structure is for plus a noun or for plus a gerund. He is taking a photo for posting it on Instagram. Here we have a gerund posting. Next, in case plus a clause in present tense. Here we speak about some future situations. На случай, если что-то произойдет, нам нужно что-то сделать. So he is taking a photo in case he registers on Instagram one day. То есть сейчас он фотографирует на случай, если однажды он в будущем зарегистрируется в Инстаграме. Ну или, допустим, я сейчас беру зонтик на случай, если однажды пойдет дождь. We can also use this phrase with the past. And in case plus past tense. For example, he was taking a photo in case he registered on Instagram. То есть он фотографировался на случай, что он однажды, опять же, зарегистрируется в Инстаграме. Здесь мы говорим про прошлое. We also have clauses of negative purpose. То есть, если в прошлом мы говорили о какой-то цели, что нам сделать, нужно сделать, для чего мы что-то делаем, в данном случае мы говорим о том, что мы делаем для того, чтобы что-то не произошло. Например, we can start clauses of negative purpose with words such as not to, in order not to, and so as not to. For example, she took a taxi not to be late for work. То есть она взяла такси, чтобы не опоздать. She took a taxi in order not to be late for work, and she took a taxi so as not to be late for work. Next, so that plus can't or won't. She is taking a taxi so that she won't be late for work. Number 3, so that plus couldn't or wouldn't. Here we speak about the past. So she took a taxi so that she wouldn't be late for work. One more structure, a difficult one, for fear or lest, plus might or should. For example, she is taking a taxi lest she might be late for work. Все это предложение также переводится, что она берет такси для того, чтобы не опоздать на работу. То есть это вот слово lest переводится как «для того, чтобы не». Одно слово заменяет целую фразу. Or we can say she is taking a taxi for fear she might be late for work. Next structure. For fear of something or of doing something. Разница между с предыдущей структурой в том, что здесь добавляется предлог of. So she is taking a taxi for fear of being late for work. One more structure is to prevent plus a noun or pronoun plus from plus in. From can be omitted. So we can say she took an umbrella to prevent her dress from becoming wet. Or we can say she took an umbrella to prevent her dress becoming wet. То есть from может и не используется в данном случае. Prevent – это предотвратить. То есть она взяла зонтик, чтобы предотвратить факт того, что ее платье может намокнуть, скажем так. Next type of clause is clause of reason. They can be presented by such words as, because, for, or on the grounds that. For example, he didn't post a photo on the grounds that it was blurry. В данном случае фразу on the grounds that вы можете заменить любым словом из тех, что перечислены выше. Next one is because of something or due to something. In this structure we use a noun or a gerund. For example, he bought a new phone due to a good camera. То есть он купил новый телефон из-за хорошей камеры. So a good camera, here we have a noun. We can also say because of something, because of the fact that, or due to the fact that. The same sentence. He bought a new phone because of the fact that it had a good camera. So the last type of clauses are clauses of result. They can be presented by words that, as a result, as a consequence, consequently, which is a formal variant, so, or therefore. Therefore is also a formal variant. For example, the photo was blurry, therefore he didn't post it. Фотография была размытой, и поэтому, therefore, он ее не опубликовал. So instead of therefore, you can use any of these words. For example, the photo was blurry, as a result, he didn't post it. One more structure is such plus adjective plus noun plus that. For example, it was such a blurry photo that he didn't post it. Another structure, such plus a lot of plus a noun plus that. He had such a lot of work that he didn't have time to post a photo. Structure number 4, so plus an adjective plus or an adjective or an adverb plus that. He was so tired that he went to bed early. Or he drove so fast that he came earlier. То есть мы можем использовать здесь либо прилагательное tired, либо drove so fast, либо наречие. Fast наречие, tired прилагательное. One more structure. So plus such words as few, little, many, or much. Plus a noun plus that. He had so much work that he was very tired. And one more is a very interesting structure. So plus adjective plus a or an plus a noun plus that. He was so good a photographer that everybody loved him. То есть он был такой хороший фотограф, что он нравился всем. В данном случае не нужно забывать про артикль. So good a photographer, so brilliant a teacher. Да, если мы хотим сказать, что такой хороший, такой прекрасный кто-то, и начать эту фразу с слова so, не нужно забывать про артикль a или an в середине. So good a photographer, so wonderful a day. So, today we've discussed some relative clauses, defining and non-defining relative clauses, and some functional clauses of an English sentence. See you next lesson.